Hey, boys and girls. IYV 300 ITF. It's been a year. It's 1 year anniversary. So yeah, actually it's been a little more than a year. Back in February 2021, I bought this thing on Amazon for like 175 bucks. There was a piece of route in the F-hole that hadn't been cleaned. It was like a little piece of wood in there. And I called Amazon on it because when I was shaking this thing, it was rattling like crazy in there. And so they took $40 off my purchase price if I kept the guitar. So for 130 bucks, I got this thing. Kept it. It was so good out of the box. It was really surprising for the price. I mean, price aside, it was a good guitar. Like I was able to tune it up. It stayed in tune. I was able to play it. The action wasn't ridiculous. The intonation wasn't that bad. And the pickups were humbuckers. I didn't really like them. But as far as they go, everything worked. So over the year, over this past year, with COVID and not being able to play, I did a lot of experimenting with this thing. And so the first thing was to black out the hardware. So all this stuff I bought on Amazon, like this bridge plate, these knobs I already had, the selector switch I already had. Actually, this is a newer upgraded one because the one that I had kind of crapped out. So I had to buy a new black selector switch. These black little knobs I already had, or strap buttons I already had. The black tuners I bought on Amazon. So it was a really cheap upgrade. These, I substituted the humbuckers for these kind of humbucker size P90s. I have two of these, but in a recent video, I wanted to see if I could get this kind of semi-hollow body sounding more like a Tele as far as the twang goes. I didn't feel that these P90s really gave you that Tele twang. So I pulled out one of these humbuckers. I got these little, or not the humbuckers, I guess, P90s. And I got one of these Telecaster pickup plates for a guitar with humbuckers. And I mounted this little, it's a Guitar Fetish, what's it called? A fat body pickup. But I made a mistake when I ordered it online. I bought the vintage one, and the vintage one is only wound at like 5K. And these P90s are like almost 10 or 11K, like they're really hot. So this one's like, down like crazy. And let's see if I can show you that. So yeah, this one's like kind of down almost in the pickup ring, and this one is like up almost touching the strings, and still this one's almost louder. So this pickup's coming out sooner or later. I'll either put the P90 back in, or I'm going to order a hotter version of this bridge pickup. They have one. It's a fat body pickup, and it's a 10K output, which I think would be awesome. You'd have lots of balls, but you'd still have the Tele twang. So I might go that route. I don't know. It's just so annoying right now with inflation and this COVID nonsense and everything going up in price. I don't know if it's because of COVID, but anyway, the economy just sucks. And here in Canada, to buy stuff at Guitar Fetish, the prices are pretty good, but then the shipping is almost double what you pay for this stuff, because they have just what do they call it? Standard shipping prices. So it doesn't matter if your item is small or big or whatever. It's like 20 or 30 bucks American to ship it here to PEI. So it's hard. If I had more people, that I knew who play guitar and buy a bunch of parts or whatever, we could probably order all at the same time and each pay our stuff and split the shipping, which might be, but anyway, that's a different story for a different time. But anyway, yeah. So this thing has been fantastic for the whole year. And I know you guys, some of you have picked up right on the fact that, like, wait a minute, you have a maple on maple neck, like maple in the back, maple in the front, and it's supposed to have like a rosewood or fake rosewood fretboard. What's going on? Well, let me tell you. So right around Christmas time, I started having some buzzing issues on the IYV, and it was weird because the D, G, B, and E strings, all the way up and down the neck, were 100% fine. Within reason. Like it would have been, still giggable, playable. And then, but the E and the A string, the bass strings or whatever, from the 5th fret to about the 14th fret, 14th or 15th fret, so this span right here, it was just a crazy amount of buzzing, like just fretting out and not bending them, just pressing down on the frets, like they were just fretting out totally. So it started at the 5th fret, got really bad around the 8th fret, and then got worse right up to the 12th fret, and then was starting to get better as it went up. So I thought to myself, I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? I said, it must be high frets. Like some of the frets must have actually popped out of the neck. So I thought, well, I got a guy in Moncton who does, who's been doing my guitar work ever since COVID hit. Because the guy in PEI who used to do my work had kind of taken a step back when COVID hit, and I still had, I had a few guitars I wanted to set up, so I took it to this guy in Moncton. He runs a business right out of his home called Moncton Guitar Repair, I think, or Moncton Guitar Repair Center. I should really look this up before I give out this information, but his name is Jacques Belanger, and he gave me permission to use his name, in case you're wondering. And the guy is awesome. Like he's fantastic. His knowledge is whatever, and he's a guitar player and a good one at that. Like all styles. Like the guy is amazing. Like he's just so he knows about guitars, right? He knows how to set them up. He knows what the problems are. He knows. So I contacted him, and I was a little embarrassed because I know this guy works on, top Nashville guitar players' instruments who like ship them down to him to fix them, and then he ships them back. And I'm thinking, so here's like little Jason from PEI who's got a $130 guitar. Here, can you like have a look at this and maybe fix it up, right? And it's like, and it's not like I've been a long time customer of his. I just got to know him over the last probably year or so, and so I was kind of like, oh, he's going to be like, stop wasting my time with these Amazon guitars or whatever. Nope, not at all. He's like, look, throw it on the bus, ship it down to Moncton. I'll take it. I'll fix it. I'll have a look at it. Anyway, so, and I told him, I think I got a couple of high frets and, what's going on anyway. And so he called me back and said, well, listen, Jason, I have some bad news. And this is not the kind of guy who's going to, like, find a problem to make money off you. Like, not at all. He could have screwed me over many a time, and with different pricings or whatever, or stuff that he had to do, and it's just not the case with this guy. He's one of the rare ones anyway. So he called me up and said, listen, Jason, the problem with your neck is that it's twisted. I'm like, it's twisted? Like it was fine like just a few weeks ago. Like how is it twisted now? And anyway, so well, it's probably just, winter, there's less humidity and, whatever. And you know what, guys? I started thinking about it and I'm like, oh, crap. So take a look at this. You see that thing on the wall, the big white thing? Oh, don't mind the M&M curtain and the sheet hanging from the ceiling there. My daughters had like this big sleepover and they built the fort and they still have it up. So I'm not kind of a weird chocolate-loving guy, although, chocolate's pretty good. But so that's why the M&Ms are there. All right. And so that heat pump, so I just had that installed mid-November. And I had it set at 21, 22 degrees in my basement here. I have a kind of a piano in the back, and I have a couple of guitars on stands just right over here. and my kids have a little keyboard over there, and so, and this is, you know, kind of my little Fender amp that I just practice with or play with or whatever, and the computer's over there, and so anyway, then I use my little pedal. So that's kind of basically my setup, and because you know I am not a professional, and I don't have all the cool gear and all the cool recording software, but so anyway, the basement was always kind of cool here at the house, and so I got that installed, and Mr. Man, it works great, but does it ever suck up the humidity? So the humidity in the basement, when after Jacques called me and told me that the neck had twisted, I kind of thought, crap, you know, and then and I mentioned to him that I had a heat pump in. Do you think it would make a difference? As well, it does take the humidity out of a room. So I checked down here. I brought my humidistat, which is normally upstairs. I brought it downstairs, and the humidity downstairs was like 21 degrees, or 21%. So I'm like, oh my God. And usually it'd be like 50, 55, you know, it would be a good rating, I guess. So I was like, all right, this is bad. So then I immediately checked my other guitars, and I'm like, whew, like they were all good. So I don't know if it's just, you know, it's a cheap guitar on Amazon. Cheap meaning inexpensive, like it plays well. But maybe that's part of the deal, right? Like the necks are probably not built with top quality wood, and it's probably not a quarter sawn maple neck. It's probably just, you know, just a whatever maple neck. Like so. And I don't even know if it's real maple. It could be something else, or maybe it was some kind of pine or something, but I have no idea what comes with them. But anyway, so that was the thing. And he said, well, I can probably, you know, re-moisturize your neck kind of with, you know, steam and all this stuff, and I can put it in a vise, and I can spend a few days straightening it and all this stuff, and, you know, and hope that it might hold its position, and depending on how good the truss rod is inside these necks, he says, because I don't know, right? But he says, your best bet is probably just to get another neck. And I'm like, oh, man. All right, how much is this going to cost? He said, well, it depends on what you want, right? So, and then I just happened to ask him, I said, well, listen, I said, do you have any necks there? Do you have any Telecaster style necks, you know, hanging around that maybe you want to sell? And he goes, well, you know what? He says, actually, I do. I have one. I have one that I bought for a build, and I'm not going to be using it. And so, because this guy builds guitars as well. So anyway, it turned out it was this neck, and he said, but I gotta warn you though, it's when I ordered it, I kind of overlooked like the specs, and it's thick, like it's a big neck. So, and I typically don't like thick necks, but my Sterling Cutlass that I bought has kind of a chunky neck on it, and I kind of like it. And so I mentioned that to him. I said, well, if it's not ridiculously big, it won't, you know, it's not too bad. And because he told me that he didn't like it. So he says, and I, you know, I have small hands, I don't really like it. I said, well, geez, I have small hands. I don't know if maybe I won't like it too. But anyway, it turns out that, yeah, it is a chunky neck, but it's awesome. It feels like those old Teles, like the old 60s kind of chunky Telecaster necks. Or if you have like those Brad Paisley Sparkle Casters that came out, they're kind of a sparkly gray, and they're kind of road worn or whatever. If you ever played one of those, they have a big chunky neck on them, and it feels like that. So anyway, I took a chance. These necks were like $270, I think, new from like Long and McQuaid or whatever, and he gave it to me for $150, and he installed it, set it all up, did the action. He had to put a Graphtec nut in there, transferred all my tuning keys, all the black hardware, just did a bang up job. But there were a few issues. So if some of you guys have this guitar and you're thinking of maybe changing out the neck, here, let me just turn the volume down. There's a few things that you should know. So first of all, these guitars, and I don't know if it's just because they're made overseas in a plant to keep the cost down. Maybe, I don't know if their measurements are 100% or whatever, but these neck pockets in these guitars are slightly wider than your traditional Telecaster style guitars. Even the original neck that was in it wasn't really tight in the pocket. So Jacques had to, and you're not going to see this because he did a great job, but he had to put in a shim. See, it looks like it's really nice and snug there, but there is a little maple shim all the way down this side of the neck. Because to get the neck centered in the pocket, he needed like it's a very, paper thin shim. Well, a little thicker than a piece of paper, but it's in there. And at the bottom here, you can tell there's still a little gap. Like, let me see if I can get that to focus. You can see that there. See that? It's a small gap, but it's only like, probably 3/8 of an inch, like in length, right? So there's no need for a shim down there. But just so you know, if you're gonna change your neck on these guitars, you may have to order it specifically for this neck pocket. Possibly this guitar, my guitar, may have been routed incorrectly. I don't know if they're all like that. I have no idea. But it wasn't a problem for a luthier of his caliber. Like, he was able to put the neck in, and everything's great. Like, everything plays great. It lined up perfectly. Like, the pocket was well routed. He said there were no real issues there. He said the guitar itself is very solid. He said he was impressed for the price point, like how it was built. In general, the body, that he said there was nothing wrong. Because eventually, I kind of got discouraged, and I said, well, I think I might, probably, what should I do? Should I just throw it out, just pull the hardwares out and fire everything in the garbage? He's like, no, it's really good. It's a good guitar. And this guy works on expensive guitars, right? Acoustic and electric, basses, you name it. So I was kind of, all right then, so whatever. So I got him to put this neck on, and I'm really glad he did. This is a fully satin neck. It feels like there's absolutely nothing on it. It feels great. And it kind of changed the sound of the guitar. It's I guess you guys aren't going to be able to tell, but it sounds brighter, but I don't know. It could be just me because I haven't had it for a couple weeks. So yeah, I don't know. It's nice, like for picking. And the other thing is these guitar come with a 42 millimeter nut, but this guitar it's a 43. So these necks are just a bit wider at the nut, but because it's so thick, it feels like a narrow neck. But I don't know. I think it's just because it's chunky in the back, maybe. I don't know. But they're really nice. They like for picking or whatever. I was kind of impressed. Intonates well, stays in tune well. This guitar always intonated well and stayed in tune well. So it's just. But with this 43 millimeter nut, it's easier to chord. I find I don't get tangled, and I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's new. I have new neck, and when I get new stuff, I kind of get excited or whatever, right? But all in all, do I regret buying this thing? No, not at all. Like, for the price I paid for it, this is definitely a keeper. The only downside is now that I had this neck installed and I had a new setup done, I have 3 times as much in the price of this guitar that I actually paid for it. So I kind of have to keep it because I can't sell it for what I got into it, right? Unless somebody really wanted it because of the way it looks or the way it sounds or whatever. But I think I'm just gonna keep it, and I'll use it, in church, and I'll play maybe even take it to some if the bars ever open up again once this COVID stuff is finally gone. Maybe I'll use it in the the kind of shady bars, because really if something happens to it, it's not a big deal. But anyway, so yeah, make sure you humidify your guitars because you don't want your necks warping on you. Now, like I said, all my other guitars were in the same environment, in the same room with that same heat pump, with the same humidity, and those necks did not twist, warp, or the frets didn't pop out, or like nothing happened. So it was only this one that was affected. So I think maybe the quality, not the build quality. The build quality was fine right out of the box, but I think maybe the quality of the materials that they use, maybe, especially for the neck, may not be as, I don't know, as, I don't want to say high-end, because clearly if you're buying a cheap guitar, it's not high-end, but it may not be as good quality wood as what you'd find on maybe a mid-range price guitar, Fender Squier, for example, or whatever, right? So, but anyway. And the other issue too is typical Telecaster necks. If they have like an overhang, if they have like, I think this one has, let me see here, 12, 22. So this one has 22 frets. So if you have, yeah, that's right. If you have 22 frets and there's an overhang, they don't usually fit with humbuckers. So Jacques had to trim this pickup ring a little bit just so he could get it in, because you'll notice like it's touching the neck, and he didn't want to cut away at the neck fretboard, so he just trimmed this pickup ring. So if you guys are planning on changing the neck to a real Telecaster style neck for your guitar and it's got 22 frets, that might be an issue. Well, not a big problem to solve, but you'll probably have to trim that ring. And yeah, that's I guess that's about it. As far as the guitar goes, you can see the wood grain back there, like none of it, it didn't split. It hasn't, although it was really dry in the basement, and that's my fault, it's not the guitar's fault, but it's really nice back there. The top of the guitar, nothing separated. If you look at the, the edging, it's perfect still. So after a year of having it, because I wondered after once I kept them, like it's fine now, but in a year's time, once it's been hauled around in a case and been outside and inside, and and the winter comes and the summer, because it gets really humid here in PI in the summer because we're surrounded by water, and it gets really dry in the winter because of the cold, right? And the heat pump definitely didn't help, and I never really worried about that before because there was always some amount of humidity in the basement, even though it's winter. But so anyway, ever since that, I got I just picked this up at Walmart. If you can see that black thing there on the floor, so it's a medium sized room humidifier, and it's so I have it set on high. I have to fill it like 3 times a day. But you can see right now, and it's a cold snap here in PI, but you can see right now, it's like 48% humidity and 18 degrees Celsius in the basement, according to that thing, but it feels a lot warmer than that down here. Maybe it's because the heat pump is on, but, so yeah, anyway, so that really seemed to help, having the humidifier. So I'm sure you guys all know that, and you probably have a humidifier in your room or one in your guitar case or whatever, but I guess I've learned my lesson. It's kind of really important. So yeah, all in all, this guitar's been great. Sound wise, it's good. So, and this neck, it just, it's a lot of fun to play. And I've always preferred maple necks. One of the reasons I hesitated to buy the guitar in the first place is that it had a rosewood neck. And I was like, but for the price and the way it played, I liked it enough to keep it. But so it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Well, not so much the cost of having to repair it and all that stuff, but to get a maple on maple neck. And I remember when he told me about the neck, I was working, I was at school, we were talking about it. All right, well, just put that neck on. And then after, I'm like, oh, I got to call him back. And I said, Jock, is this neck maple on maple? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yes, all right, good enough, right? Because if I'm going to spend money, I want to get something that, I want. But, yeah, it's good. Along with yours, if you've had any problems, like if you're getting close to a year or maybe more than a year, and because I'd be curious to see if I'm the only guy who had the issue. Well, and again, it's probably not a guitar issue. It's just me. Like I installed this heat pump and I didn't really do my homework on it, and I wasn't really too concerned. I just wanted heat down here because this is where I kind of jam and when I'm bored, and I guess maybe that's. So that's on me. You can't blame the IYV for that. But just a warning, you probably have a neck that might be more so how would you say that? Less stable, if you will, than what would be on your other typical guitars. I hate to use this, but brand name guitars. You might have a slightly inferior neck as far as build and material wise on the IYV. Anyway, that's the only problem that I've ran into. This guitar has been super easy to mod. Anything fits, everything fits. The routes are awesome. They're really well done. They're clean. They're actually shielded. Now again, I don't know how good the shielding is, but it's shielding paint. But it comes shielded for a $170 guitar. And I got a credit on it, but since when would it be shielded? So somebody's taken the time, with the minor details when they build these things. So anyway, no regrets. It's been really good. Like I said, it's been a little over a year, and unfortunately, because of my kind of stupidity or lack of attention to detail, the neck suffered a loss, but I feel like I gained a little bit, and I kind of like the look. I like how the black tuners really come out, and I like the black inlays, fret markers or whatever, and I like I blacked out the hardware, and I like the black trim on the guitar. It kind of, I don't know, I just like it. I like it. Maple is kind of, I don't know why, I've just always preferred it to rosewood or ebony or whatever. So that's it for me, guys. If you have an IYV, I think they're ITF 300s are what they're called, and you're still rocking it and it still works well, let me know in the comments, and let me know what you guys do to kind of avoid these kind of mishaps from happening. Jacques gave me a good idea of getting a nitrocellulose foam sponge. He says you can buy them wherever, everywhere. And nitrocellulose, because apparently they hold water well, like water doesn't drip from them when they're full of water. And just those little plastic soap containers that you put a bar of soap in, and you cut the sponge out to fit, and then drill a bunch of holes in the top of the soap container, and put that in your guitar case. And as opposed to these little humidifiers that you can buy on Amazon or whatever for like $12-15 that you got to fill every second day because they evaporate so quickly, this thing lasts for weeks before you have to refill it, maybe even months. So So I think I might try that. If I do, I'll post a video and show you, what, how to make them or whatever. But it sounds really easy. I don't think it'd be a problem. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this with the new neck because I only got it like a few days ago. So it's great. And yeah, I'll keep you posted if anything changes. But so far, so good. So take care, guys. Have a good one. Always a pleasure. God bless, and be safe. See ya.